We are the breakers of curses, the casters of glorious conspiracies, and the creators of the new world. I, Cassandra-Floyd, am a divine instrument of my mother's divine will. As such, I am protected and guided by the sacred blood and water of my mother, Jacqueline Jeanette Cook's body, that anointed my entry into this life. I am divine because she is divine. Mommy and I are one. I call on all of our mothers to this moment. I call on they who govern everything, all time and every step in between. She with 10,000 names. Today it is Oya, Yemaya, Oshun, Iyami Ajay, Sekhmet, Kali, divine architects of existence. Mommy and I are one. Usheresses of the new age. Mommy and I are one. I call upon the divine answers and the ashe of every mother on earth to break every curse ever cast upon the mother and her children, in all timelines and in every dimension. Mommy and I are one. We, the mother's divine children, conspire together today to forever bind those who have or would harm you, great mother. Mommy and I are one. Today, we embody the sacred and divine power of our all time. Today, we the tree, we the reapers, rewrite the book of life. Today, we, our mother's children, call the winds of change. We conjure the primordial dark. We summon the sacred serpent from within the earth. We subdue the rogue sun. We control the light. We heal the harm. We embolden the fearful. We instill courageous action. Today, we are saving a global evolution. This is our mother's divine will. Mommy and I are one. We, the architects of the new age, now create the new institutions, the new traditions, the new culture, the new ways of being. We ecstatically welcome the radical destruction of all institutions of hate and harm erected by the godheads of war. Mommy and I are one. We have the power. We have the voice. We are the portals of change. Now we employ our sacred breath and we give life and sacred blood to this conspiracy. Mommy and I are one. We command, come the wind, come the storm, come the lightning, capture and judge all godheads of war and all betrayers of the mother's divine will. Bring their confusion and war to an immediate end. Scatter them to oblivion, never to be resurrected again. We are the fates. We are the furies. We are the Iyami Ajay. We are the donators of divine time, divine retribution, divine rectification, and evolutionary justice. We are the restorers of heaven on earth under the mother's divine reign. Ooh. We wake the sacred serpent from her sleep to assist us in this sacred assignment. Love unlimited is our birthright. Harmony is our birthright. Ecstasy is our birthright. Pleasure is our birthright. Freedom is our birthright. This is her divine will. We are the divine executors of her will. We speak her will into the now to reverberate throughout all time, all space, and all dimensions. It is certainly as we say, forever and ever. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Greetings, family. All right, so let's go ahead and get to, I think the last two times because I was working, I didn't read the prophecy from the Sibyls, the first prophetesses of Mami Wata, and the theft of African prophecy by the Roman Church. Thrice 300 years having run their course of fulfillment. Rome, by the strife her people shall perish. Rome is doomed to perish, and that indeed by the judgment of God, because it held her name in hatred. And being the enemy of righteousness, it destroyed the people who kept the truth. There shall come to thee sometime from above a heavenly stroke deserved, O haughty Rome, and thou shalt be the first to bend thy neck and be razed to the ground, and thee shall fire destructive utterly consume, cast down upon thy pavements, and thy wealth shall perish, and wolves and foxes dwell in thy foundations, and then shalt thou be wholly desolate, as if not born. And last, we are going to read the glorious conspiracy of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I, Cassandra-Floyd, is a peculiar expression of the Almighty Divine She, the great cosmic mother, now joined in breath with my global family to conspire on behalf of the whole made well. We are breathing these words together now to ensure that our home, her body, is restored to her original perfect glory. Her glory is perfect in peace, love, bliss, happiness, and ecstasy. This world exists because we collectively will it so. We, as the representatives of the Mother's divine reign on earth, speak this beautiful conspiracy as a single cosmic earthly orchestra to guarantee heaven on earth in joyful compliance with our Mother's divine will. Possessing the power of our mothers, we speak this glorious future now. It is certainly as we say, Mommy and I are one. Okay. So as usual, thank you, Sahara. Anyway, let me yeah, I usually have all kinds of little trinkets and shit up here. Let me go grab a little something. Yeah, let me grab something and then we'll get started. Hey, baby girl. Ugh. All right. So, I have a lot to talk to you about today. I was going to try to come back last night, but I ended up in a wormhole. Not this shit y'all wanted me to talk about that I said I wasn't going to talk about. Oh, cool. Honey Dip Chocolate just became an Ocean Perk member of the Daughter of the Fates YouTube channel, primary organizing instrument and outreach instrument of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Let's see. Mm-hmm. 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 Let me tell you something. So let me tell you, I got a lot to talk to y'all about. I'm gonna have to prioritize what I'm gonna talk to y'all about because I still have a lot to do. And today is the day. Like I have been putting it off, and I was feeling really kind of not great last week. My moon came on with a whole ass vengeance and attitude. And I'll be honest, I was put down most of the week last week. You understand? I did do a couple of lives, when I get hyped, but my uterus had had an attitude last week. That's all I could tell you. And I never have PMS or menstrual discomfort or anything like that. But my cycle did come on at the very first day of the Mercury retrograde. And baby, she had something to say. Okay. So now I'm playing hella catch up. Thank you for the donation, Jane Wilson. Yeah, I'm playing catch up. Okay. So I'm going to have to try to prioritize because there's a lot that I want to talk to you about. I against my better judgment, but it actually against my better judgment, but it actually proved insightful and valuable because I went off on a little bit of a tangent saying that I wasn't gonna let y'all corral me. I wasn't gonna let y'all corral me into the drama around Project Esther. You feel me? Everybody had been in my comment section. What you think about Project Esther? What you think? And I was like, well, damn, I'm ignoring you for a reason. Like, how long y'all gonna ask me about this shit? Because y'all know I answer damn near every question in my comment section. I was like, I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. Arms folded, lip poked out. I'm not doing it. You feel me? And I don't know what finally commits me to spend my time, and a lot of time, child. A lot of time, child. On this damn project Esther shit. You feel me? And yeah. So anyway, I did that. So I would love to see thank you tips for that because I didn't want to do it. Y'all know me. I'll be hype about most discussions, most inquiries, but I didn't read Project 2025 because I knew it was just gonna be some monstrous bullshit, and there's just certain shit I didn't want in my head. You feel me? I get it. I'm supposed to be, the thought leader and everything, putting y'all up on game, helping y'all understand what they try not to make, obvious. Zahara say, because we spoil. Oh, there's just certain things, man. I be trying to avoid. But something, especially as many times, all jokes aside, I saw it in my comment section over the last several lives a lot. Like a lot. And I was actively trying to ignore it, but I was like, okay, there's obviously something that people need from this discussion that they're not getting. So the first thing I did was sat and watched a bunch. Ooh, I hope this. Hold on, let me make sure this rowdy ass cat ain't trying to sabotage my work. I got some pieces drying in the sun, and 9 be doing the most. He really be quite extra. Um, synopsis. I'm gonna go through this shit quick because it's a lot. Um, the first thing I did was I started by watching several, many brain hurting TikToks and IG videos about Project Esther. Okay, there's one woman I saw. I don't even remember her name, but child, her voice was like nails on a chalkboard. Oh, I thought I was gonna rip my. I was like, why is this heifer talking like this? Like, why she gotta be extra? Because you could tell it was extra. Like, it was Southern Belle times 1,000. Hi, sweethearts. Let me just tell you, times 1,000. Hi, sweethearts. Let me just tell you. I was like, why do people do that? Am I the only one whose nerves be grated with fake shit? I, especially in this day and age, I am so radically opposed to phony. I'm so opposed to fake. I don't listen. We don't need no characters. We don't need plays. We don't. Now we need shit to be like blood raw and in your face. We need truth for a change. We need bare naked truth for a change. Like, we didn't have enough of drama. What do they call it? Tragedies and what's the other tragedies and comedies and dramas. It's like everybody that is supposed to be of some type of political importance in the world, they all faking. They all fake punking, man. Like fake pumping. Is that what y'all call it? Fake pumping. Like everybody, and to me, I get it. That's why I want to. That's why I want to do some things. You feel me? Even this bullshit that I'm doing today that I didn't want to do, I was like, all right, let me go ahead and do it because every opportunity that I have to expose, to expose, to reveal, to teach you how to see as clearly as I do when you are being confronted with some bullshit and ass bullshit. And everything you see, I promise you, not only can I promise you, I can demonstrate how. I can demonstrate the moment at which you can identify when somebody is with that bullshit and that's bullshit. Because I didn't finish the conversation I had with y'all the other day about my baby. Let me wrap it up because I went all over the place. But my daughter, like I said, she a real fan of all of these so-called progressives, all these so-called liberals. I'm sorry I'm picking in my teeth, but while I was creating the live, I was like trying to over something now because I haven't eaten all day. I've just been drinking like it's going out of style. Anyway, so I'm trying to tell my daughter because she's like, oh, AOC and what's the Arab guy's name in New York and the black guy with the dreads and wherever the fuck. I'm like, baby, look, I get it. And I have to continue to explain to you because you are still very young and political life does not look the way that it looked just 20 years ago, just 15 years ago. Yes, just 10 years ago. The world looks radically different. The shit be staying blowing my mind. It be staying blowing my mind. I'm like, what happened so fast? This like weird complete inversion of the world, child, so fast. I said, so I get it, baby. You want to find someone to believe in. You want to identify someone. I get it. I've been there. You feel me? But we are going to have to come. I'm going to say this 10 million times. Okay? I am going to say this 10 million trillion times until it sinks and it has an impact on your behavior that then has an impact on the world. As long as the state remains the way that it is everywhere on the whole of the globe, child, while the state remains, oppression remains. While the state remains, traitorism remains. While the state remains, traitorism remains. While the state remains, turncoatism remains. While the state remains, selloutism is the order of the day. While the state remains, corruption will always prevail. Do you understand me? There is no, I don't know how many times I'm gonna have to tell y'all. There is no aspect of the state that is good. There is no aspect of the state that is redemptive. There is no aspect of the state that we can rely on. There is the state. What's the purpose of the state? What's the purpose of the state? What have I taught you is the purpose of the state? What have I taught you? Not what your Marxist, Leninist, friendly reader tells you. What have I taught you? What have I taught you as a representative of the mother of one who is a recovering socialist? I'm gonna start writing that shit down. As a recovering socialist, okay? As a recovering, so thank you, Claudia Ankara, say to maintain power over women. I love that. I accept it. Somebody else. I accept that because that's the seed. I accept it. But come on in the room. What else have I told you? What else have I told you? That's a great one. That's a great one, Claudia Ankara. What else have I told you about the nature of the state? Give me a metaphor for the function of the state. Somebody give me a very simplistic metaphor for the nature of the state, for how the state functions, for how the state continues to exist. Somebody a metaphor. Just think of any metaphor you can think of about the state and our relationship to it. Let's see. Upkeep and maintenance of patriarchy. Every day, all day, somebody else. Come on in the motherfucking room, Nebby Blue. I said I was not going to cuss today. I was going to I don't know why I tried to keep a commitment like that to myself. I said I wasn't going to cuss today. Anyway, but come on in the goddamn room. Come on in the room, Nebby Blue. Listen, she say a vampire off the labor of women. Yes, but not just women. Initially women. The seed, the starting point the exploitation of women's original labor. What is women's original? Can somebody tell me what women's original labor is? And why patriarchy would have to have its seed there? The malignant severance from the mother, perpetual beheading from wholeness. Come on in the room, rogue son. Come on in the room, Power Kismet. Yes, Zahara, kids too. Come on, Janet Kennedy, to keep the rich richer and the poor poor. Why? Why, Janet Kennedy? Why to keep the rich richer and the poor poor? Why? Why they need to do that? If they got more than they could spend in 25,000 lifetimes, why they need to keep more? Why do they need to continue to take more? Somebody tell me why they need more. They don't need more. Somebody tell me why they need to take more. Elaborate, Jane Wilson. She control. Elaborate, Jane Wilson. Soul control over human capital. Elaborate. Why? There's a why though. The why is always going to, because I know y'all because I know me. You feel me? When I was a little kid, my mom used to get mad every time I asked why. Because I said so. Why you said so? Because why though? And remember what baby, when I tell you vindication all through that book, she said something to the effect of, the reason you get angry with your children when they ask you why is because this is an inexhaustible weapon that the church imposed on parenthood to prevent their children from thinking freely. I said, well, why? So always ask why. Go deeper. That's what why allows you to do. Go deeper. Yes, multiple things can be true at the same time. So absolutely 10,000% yes to every single solitary thing that you all have said. Let me go ahead and read some of what y'all have said. Parasitic sickness, yes. Soul control over capitalism, yes. The creation of humans, yes. Wolves in sheep clothing, yes. To feed the machine. What's the machine? Somebody tell me what the machine is. We done been over a lot of these the last few weeks. Richer, poor, what. Okay, hold on. Maintain power over reproductive rights. Yes, petty gay. Why? Champions of mediocrity and insatiable greed. Yes, Power Kismet. Why? There's a deeper why. There is a deeper, because we keep making more. Why? Not one with the mother. Why? So that billionaires can stay on the necks and backs of the poor. Why? Why do they need to stay on the backs and the necks of the poor? Why? Envy of power and creation. Okay, we going way back, but yes, yep, but there's something else I'm looking for. Just greed, period, and not to release the reins to the power of the goddess essence. Yes, but let's see, keep us distracted from the mother's call. That's a fantastic one. Yes, karmic loop. I got a problem with karma. I'm just saying, like we talked about that just for a little bit. I got a problem with karma. I get why people would say that, but I have a problem with karma. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit. Poor children grow up to be poor workers. Why is fear? Melanin, because the mother is present in the poor and the oppressed. Power they don't have. Okay. So all these answers are great. All these answers are great to stop our rage. These answers, yes. Let's see. They want static perfection that doesn't exist in the primordial, ever-changing chaos. Come on in the room, Power Kismet. Your ass is on one today. I love that. Distraction and control. Yes. Sekhmet. What's the Ken's color? Can I just let the people participate for a second before I give you all this? Listen. When I was in the party, when I was a hardcore socialist, you feel me? One of the things which is the basis for this why, it's right now in the current age, because every single solitary thing that you guys have said, I'm not being funny, is absolutely 10,000% correct. This thing, Ken's, because Ken's be doing that though. She'd be like, I'm waiting for the answer. I'm waiting for the answer though. But there's a walk we have to go through. This is the web weaving that we're doing right now. Everybody's got a string. Everybody's got a thread in the web. You feel me? I want people to be interactive with me. You feel me? So listen, because I want to stress your brain cells. I want to, in this process, cause these synapses to start firing off like that's what political education does. It's iron sharpening iron. You feel me? Now let me tell you something. When I was in the party, and we used to do 2-hour political educations 3 days a week for years and years and years and years and years. They were they were non-negotiable. You could not miss them. 2-hour political educations a week as a part of our party unit work. And one of the things, now this again is from the perspective of a person who was educated in all things socialist and communist political theory. That's where I'm coming from for this moment, okay? But it is relevant to this discussion that we're having about the goddamn state. That's why we have to have this discussion. It doesn't, because I'm not a socialist and because I'm not a communist, does not mean that there weren't extraordinarily significant scientific and political gems that could not and cannot still be extracted from that madness. Okay, so let me tell you. One of the things that the chairperson of our organization used to talk about all the time. I would love to start doing this, as a matter of fact. We used to have once a year this thing called a party school intensive. A party school intensive, where everybody who was a member of the African People's Socialist Party came from wherever they were on earth, and there were branches everywhere on earth, to come to the Uhuru House. Uhuru means freedom. To come to the Uhuru House in St. Petersburg, Florida for 2 weeks, where we would house everybody. We would feed everybody breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I was managing the health food store in the party's kitchen. We would feed everybody. We would be up at 6 o'clock in the morning to work out. Like, it was a whole, and then we would be sitting and studying every day for 2 weeks. Then after study time was over, before the sun went down, we would break off into units of 3 or more to go do grid work, where we would beat the street. We would go door knocking. We would go door knocking just like Jehovah's Witnesses. We would talk to everybody within a certain radius, usually within like a 5-block radius of the Uhuru House. We would have party flyers of whatever the current campaign was that we were working on. And we always had a campaign because the police always killing some goddamn body. The principals and the teachers in the school always giving some black child hell. We ain't never not have no goddamn project, program, campaign we wasn't working on. You feel me? Something is always going on in the life of black people where they need somebody to come and rally on their behalf. So we would always have stacks of flyers. But a part of the party school was the intensive part, where we would be studying deep historical, political history, the current financial thorough ass breakdowns. One of the white women in the organization, the woman I was telling y'all that wrote that book. Hold on, let me grab that book, because I think y'all need to read it. The book is called it's a great book. It's written by one of the Solidarity Forces, a white woman who has been in the African People Solidarity Committee, probably 35 years. Her name is Penny Hess. The reason I mentioned Penny Hess in this book is because a lot of the white people in the Solidarity Committee of the party come from cushy lives. They come from wealth, man. They come from wealth, like serious wealth, serious affluence. Penny Hess, if her last name sounds familiar, it should. Hess Oil Company. That's Penny Hess's people name. She was trained as a chef, a professional chef at Cordon Bleu in France. Like, the woman come from money. Her oldest son has been working on Wall Street for some, I don't know, 30 years, 25 years, something. No, it's longer than that, because I left the party in 2009 or 2010. So easily he been working on Wall Street forever. And so she would always do these like deep breakdowns of the impact of the political world and how that shit looks in real time in your daily life in the financial sector. Now her son, you know what I'm saying, is giving her the 411 on what's happening in the world of finance. Child, look, the party school intensives were, I haven't experienced anything like it since. I really haven't. And it's one of the things that I've said since I left the party that I would love to reproduce, but obviously to incorporate what we know about the integral central role that goddess worshiping matriarchal societies in the past can inform us about how to move differently when addressing political life. Okay, so the book that she wrote is called Overturning the Culture of Violence. I mean, it's a pretty graphic cover, but a pretty infamous one. Overturning the Culture of Violence. Baby, when I tell you Penny wrote this book, when I tell you, and the fact that she wrote this book, what year she wrote this book? This book is great. Look at what she did with the Africa on the inside. I mean the globe on the inside cover. She turned the whole globe upside down. You see that? Overturning the Culture of Violence. Y'all see that? This book is great. You see, just like everything, it's all tabbed up, but I haven't read it in so many years. But I might need to recrack this joint open. Let's just, you know what? Look at what I just turned to. Let me just go ahead and read what Penny. Let me just read what especially since it's going to be what the hell I'm talking to y'all about today. Let me just tell you. Let me just go back so I don't get all over the place. Okay, so what I was saying, why I mentioned the party school, why I mentioned all of this stuff in declusion. You feel me? As the chairman used to say all the time, and it's so simple. I tell you all the time, simplify, 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 go deep and simplify. Go deep and simplify. You feel me? Chairman used to say all the time, more than anything, the reason that there will never be peace on earth, there will never be nowhere on earth. There will never be peace on earth. There will never be happiness on earth. There will never be sovereignty on earth while capitalism remains, is because capitalism cannot afford for anywhere on earth for there to exist the slightest example of sovereignty. Capitalism cannot afford for any evidence of successful sovereignty. Cannot, and we have clear evidence of that. We have the continuing, unending, imposed, Western in general imposed, and United States imposed suffering on the heads of those black-skinned people that live in Haiti. They have been perpetually punished for having the audacity to fight against slavery and be successful. They have been punished since they were victorious in the 1800s. What was it? 1804? Since 1804. They have been perpetually punished. Do you understand? Not just them. What about black skinned folks in the United States of America? What about black skinned folks in the UK? I just read an article the other day that blew my whole mind. Why they be looking at you like you have lost your skull, like you are really out of it. Black skinned people will look at you like you crazy when you talk about we demand reparations for the stolen labor and the mountain of wealth that would have continued to be generated off of that wealth had we been paid for our labor for 400 plus years. Baby, I just read an article the other day that said that in the year 2015, 2015, the UK finally squared its debts with the descendants of slaveholders who had lost their property as a consequence of the UK abolishing slavery. They just finished paying off that debt in 2015. But your ass crazy for asking for reparations. Not asking for reparations, demanding your stolen labor back. 2015, yes, Claudia Accra. I was like, wait, what? Surely I heard what I heard wrong. Yes, but your ass ain't got a penny. You feel me? Yep, that just happened. And so I'm curious about America's debts, because even while it promised the enslaved black people reparations and didn't give it to them same we ain't got it to give you, turned right around and gave American slave owners, former slaveholders, reparations. I wonder if they did squared yet. You feel me? Listen what Penny has. I didn't intend for this to happen, but especially me turning right to the page is y'all got to get this book. Okay? Y'all got to get this book. What do you say? I'm gonna read you a quote first, and then I'm gonna go into what I turned to. Responsibility. For the West to disclaim responsibility for what it so clearly did is to make every white man alive on earth today a criminal. In history, as in law, men must be held strictly responsible for the consequences of their historic actions, whether they intended those consequences or not. For the West to accept its responsibility is to create the means by which white men can liberate themselves from their fears, from their panic, and from their terror. That was a quote by Richard Wright. Oh, man, my whole body is buzzing. Richard Wright wrote these words in 1957 in his book, White Man Listen. His statement of so long ago appeals to us to take responsibility for being the children of the slave master, for the lives built on genocide and the suffering of others. He is correct that it is in accepting the historical burden of truth that we can free ourselves from our fears, panic, and terror. It is in the act of reparations that we find redemption. This is a white woman who wrote this book, y'all. This is a wealthy white woman who wrote this book, y'all. I'm just saying. Okay? She said, it is through the act of reparations that we find redemption. We can break down the long-standing isolation from others that we have imposed upon ourselves and begin to see the responsibility for the future as it is being projected by the oppressed of the earth. Quote, it can be said that the white man is at bay. Never have so few hated and feared so many. In the introduction to White Man Listen, John A. Williams cites this quote by Wright and adds, these words written by Richard Wright 3 years before his untimely death on November 28, 1960, in Paris, have more meaning today than when they were first set down. The white man, Wright meant, has been brought to bay by his own conscience, by the juggernaut economics, and by the ceaseless pressure brought to bear upon his grim penchant for insisting that the world was his and his alone. The pressure has come from all over the world: China, Africa, Latin America, the rest of Asia, and in America itself. Non-white pressure. Williams and Wright were writing in the 1960s when the national liberation movements throughout the world were the main trend, as Yeshatella says, threatening the foundations of the capitalist system. White people had indeed been brought to bay. In this era of imperialist counterinsurgency, the viciousness of white power has again been unleashed on humankind. But the revolutions of 30 years ago have not gone away. Crushed by imperialist counterinsurgency, they remain to be completed. Conditions for colonial peoples are worse than ever. It is only a matter of time until the widespread proliferation of revolutionary organizations again threatens imperialism's pedestal, and non-white pressure again reigns in white power, bringing it to bay once more. As the world lies on the cusp of an inevitable transformation, it is time for us to stand for the consequences of our historic actions, which Richard Wright called for so long ago, which Richard Wright called for so long ago. We are offended by those who call such a stance middle class self-flagellation. Wright's statement is true. There is no statute of limitations for the crimes against humanity. Acknowledgement and reparations are moral and ethical responses to the reality around us. We white people have to begin by admitting that yes, we are all a part of this. No one is exempt. White workers guilty. That's the name of the section. That's the name of the section. Okay, I'm just reading the book. All right. That was just in 2024. What was just in 2024? What was in 2024? Hold on. Let me see what year this book was. Yeah, this book was written in the year 2000. White workers guilty. While the ruling class directs and the middle class grows fat, white workers are imperialism's eager attack dogs. As workers, we have always been ready to brutalize African people in the hopes of being rewarded with a greater share of the stolen loot. This is our ladder of success, with a body of an African on every rung, whether it's the Marines or the Ku Klux Klan, the militias, the Southern Sheriff's Departments, Irish gangs, Italian mafias, West or Italian mafias, Western posses, or just the good old boy lynch mob. White workers have always been the enthusiastic stormtroopers of white power. Violence against African and indigenous people is our rite of passage as white people. This is how we prove our whiteness. This is the essence of the American dream, of the fact that any white kid, no matter how poor, can become wealthy or be elected president. Few of us are more than a generation or two away from the stratum of white laborers. All of our grandfathers and grandmothers did the same thing to join the middle class, stepped on the backs of Africans, Mexicans, and other indigenous people around the world, one way or another. We didn't take up class struggle. We took up genocide and terror. We didn't lynch the boss. We hung Africans from trees. We didn't burn the White House. We torched the homes and bodies of Africans. We didn't seize the means of production. We stole the land of the indigenous people. Consequently, we are the richest workers in the world, and there we are, ridiculed by the white rulers whose bidding we do, and hated by colonized people whose lives we terrorize. It is a rather pathetic trait of white workers that even when the government and the ruling class turn their backs on us, we still love America. Fuck! Maybe I need to be reading this book again. God damn. This was published the year before I joined the party. The year I joined the party was in 2001, like 3 months after 9/11. But baby, that line right there just sent chills up my spine. I forgot. Penny go hard in this book, y'all. Penny go. I will say I have to reread the book because I know that there are some things. Anyway, she go hard. Okay. She said it is a rather pathetic trait of the white workers that even when the government and the ruling class turn their backs on us. Sound familiar? Sound currently familiar? All these white working class people crying crocodile tears because they can't believe they Trump betrayed them, they Trump lied to them, like they couldn't read the same articles we was reading. You feel, before they elected him? You feel me? Mind you, this book was written in the year 2000. Right? She said it is rather pathetic. It's a rather pathetic trait of white workers that even when the government and the ruling class turn their backs on us, we still love America. Vietnam vets, families of the guards who Rockefeller killed at Attica prison. Remember, I was just talking to y'all about that the other day. God damn, I got to get back in this book. Oh my God, it's so currently relevant. She say, Vietnam vets, families of the guards who Rockefeller killed at Attica prison, people dying of cancer after working in government-owned nuclear plants, exploited workers of Appalachia. Where are you? The rulers of white power don't care about you either. Once you've done their dirty work, you are disposable. Whew. Child. Penny go hard. Penny go hard. There is a future for us if we join the struggle of the colonized toilers of the world. As Omalia Chatella has said, the exploitation of white workers is not in the context of black power. It exists in the framework of white power. If we are interested in destroying the basis of our own oppression as workers, let's join with African and other oppressed peoples who are going to free themselves of the deadly system sitting on their backs. By the way, is the very same system that exploits us. White women, guilty. We instigated countless murders of African men by charging rape, mostly to cover over something we didn't want our husbands to know about. We were at the lynchings and burnings and mutilation of African people. We were egging white men on. We dressed in our best outfits, brought our children, and grinning, we had our pictures taken in front of the tortured corpses of African people. We fought for our democratic rights at the expense of African people. As 19th century feminists, we said that it would be better for an African woman to be the slave of an educated white man than of a degraded, ignorant black one. In the 1960s, we built a white women's liberation movement off the impetus of the Black liberation movement. The Black movement was destroyed by government terror. The African population was assaulted in a counterinsurgents war against the whole people. We got power and money within the system at Black people's expense. Now we are 36 to 39% of all executives, administrators, and managers in wholesale, retail, entertainment, and banking. We're 40 to 50% of executives in insurance, education, and hospitals, and 66 to 67% of executives in social service and health service. We got what we wanted through the affirmative action laws that came as a government concession to the life and death struggles of African people in the 1960s. Now, African people are still impoverished and white women are tired of affirmative action. Almost 80% of women polled no longer support it. Through our movement for women's liberation, we've gained power and money in the capitalist system. We've proven that we can be as good as white men in ruling white power. But do we have liberation? The degradation and objectification of women is greater now than ever. We're raped and abused in greater numbers. Our bodies sell cars and jewelry and dish detergent from every TV screen and billboard. Hollywood holds up hideous visions of anorexic white women with facial surgery and nose jobs, artificially inflated breasts and lips, capped teeth, bleached hair, and vacant looks in their eyes. Our women's liberation movement, built off the backs of the Black Power movement, mirrored the actions of white workers as a whole. We sold out Black people and opportunistically went for ourselves. What we got was the power to be good oppressors next to men and some of the stolen wealth. But we changed nothing in a society that is built on slavery and genocide and takes the exploitation of women for granted. Somebody about to be mad. Jewish people, guilty. What Europeans did to other Europeans under Hitler had been practiced for hundreds of years against African, indigenous, and Asian peoples. No white people, including Jews, protested when Africans and other colonized people were being slaughtered by the millions by European and American powers. What was inflicted on Jews by Nazi Germany was an outgrowth of centuries of genocide against other peoples. Only when the atrocities were carried against other white people was any outrage registered by Europeans. Despite experiencing some of what colonized peoples have been subjected to for so long, most Jews did not stand with the oppressed. Instead, they stole the land of the Palestinians and created the Israeli state. Now the fiercest imperialists in the Middle East, Jews, engage in slaughter of Islamic people. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote, quote, the concept of the European, quote, gentleman was evolved. A man well-bred and of meticulous grooming, of knightly sportsmanship and invincible courage, even in the face of death. But one who did not hesitate to use machine guns against assagais, light spears used by South Africans, and to cheat, quote, niggers. An ideal of sportsmanship which reflected the golden rule and yet contradicted it, not only in business and in industry within white countries, but all over Asia and Africa. By indulging in lying, murder, theft, rape, deception, and degradation of some of the same sort, and some of the same sort and kind, which has left the world against the accounts of what have left the world aghast at the accounts of what the Nazis did in Poland and Russia. There was no Nazi atrocity. Concentration camps, wholesale maiming and murder, defilement of women, or ghastly blasphemy of childhood, which the Christian civilization of Europe had not long been practicing against colored folks in all parts of the world in the name of or for the defense of the superior race born to rule in the defense of a superior race born to rule the world. The African scholar Walter Rodney had this to say about European fratricide, reiterating the theme that our own colonial violence so freely dishes out to others comes back to us once again. Ooh, child. Man, that's good. Quote, in the short run, European racism seemed to have done Europeans no harm. And they used those erroneous ideas to justify their further domination of non-European peoples in the colonial epoch. But the international proliferation of bigoted and unscientific racist ideas was bound to have its negative consequences in the long run. When Europeans put millions of their brothers, Jews, into ovens under the Nazis, the chickens were coming home to roost. Such behavior inside of democratic Europe was not as strange as it is sometimes made out to be. There was always a contradiction between the elaboration of democratic ideas inside Europe and the elaboration of authoritarian ideas and thuggish practices by Europeans with no respect to Africans. The mass murder of Jews in Nazi Germany is used to further attack Black people. A Jewish member of the Alameda County Board of Supervisors broke into tears once when the Uhuru movement in Oakland went before the board to protest the abuse of African children in the foster care system. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Let me read that sentence again. It says, a Jewish member of the Alameda County Board of Supervisors broke into tears once when the Uhuru movement in Oakland went before the board to protest the abuse of African children in the foster care system as genocide. Genocide only happened to Jews, she said. Steven Spielberg once came to the nearly all-African Castlemont High School located in East Oakland, down the street from the Oakland Uhuru House. His purpose was to force African children to watch the movie Schindler's List. One wonders why anyone would make a film glorifying a Nazi who saved a tiny percentage of people from death by putting them in slave labor, putting them in slave labor in his factory. In any case, Spielberg and others were incensed when the Castlemont students laughed at the movie. Certainly, the thought of any white people trying to tell Africans about genocide is patronizing and outright ridiculous. Holocaust museums have opened up in DC and in DC as well as in many other US cities, but the wholesale murder of Jews never took place inside the United States. Genocide against African and indigenous people was carried out here. Jews are getting reparations by the trillions of dollars from Germany and Switzerland, while reparations to African people is laughed off by white society. Where are the Jews who are willing to use their experience in Let's see. Where were the Jews who were willing to use their experience in Germany as an opportunity to stand with, let's see, to stand in solidarity with African and colonized people? Okay. Whew, I could go on, but I got other stuff to talk to y'all about. This book is great. Overturning the Culture of Violence by Penny Hess. Okay. All right. Man, I'm tired. Let me go get some more carrot juice, try to wake my ass up. My eyelids are getting heavy. Oh. Oh. See the love in their eyes. So many voices, so many places. Use your heart, not your pride. Okay. I feel like I need to do some jumping jacks or something. I told y'all I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning, so now I'm dragging ass. And y'all know I love naps, but I was on a roll, so I was like, don't let me lay down, say I'm gonna take a 1 hour nap and end up in the hole for 4 hours. Now I'm running on fumes. So anyway, I wanted to, I'm glad I remembered that book. The book is really good. I'm sure if I go through it now, I'll find things that, I no longer subscribe to, but overall the book is jamming. It is a really important book, not only for white people to read, but for Black people to read too. A lot of the time, even within that organization, a lot of the time we have a habit of just accepting the ideas of our so-called leadership and not taking responsibility in a deep and profound way for our own study and our own growth. And it is a weakness. It's not only a weakness; it is problematic for so many reasons. And yes, nobody has a right to exploit our ignorance, but that's what happens. And knowing that that is a tendency, that is one of the cornerstones of freaking parasitism, patriarchal parasitism, then we have to actively actively take control of our study life. You understand? We have to do that. And I tried to make that process much more concise and easy to manage than it was made for me. It's not a criticism, it's just an acknowledgement that we have a world to change, and in order for that change to be effective, sufficient, thorough, and swift, we need people's consciousness to be radically exploded. We need people's consciousness to be radically heightened and then spill out on the whole planet like a virus that changes the world, like a virus that saves the world, child, instead of this cancer that's choking everybody out. All right. So anyway, let me get back to the let's see where we at. Okay. So let's get back to the lecture at hand, child, because y'all in this goddamn Project Esther. Y'all in this goddamn Project Esther, child. Y'all was up on me, okay? Where's my notebook that I took? Oh, it's over here. Sorry about that. I thought I had my notebook over here. What's up, pretty Italian? What's up, pretty Italian? What you doing? Where's my book? Did you eat it? Let's see. Okay. Where did I put it? I put it over here because I was going to do this joint last night. That, you know what? Let me take these things off. did I do with this book? Damn, man. And look, man, it's hot too. What did I do with the damn book? Oh, nope, that's not it. I thought I put it in my purse. Oh, I know exactly what I did with it. I have the jewelry orders in it. Let me go grab it. All right. Woo. All right. I hope y'all got pen and paper. Now, I'm going to be honest. I've spent so much time. So we're going to be talking about this Project Esther malarkey. I mentioned a little bit about it yesterday because I said my problem with it. Oh, thank you guys. My problem with it is the fact that everybody is so innate emotions about this Project Esther. And my concern is that the language of urgency that they are using to communicate the, under the guise of, they really feel like they're doing this, that's fine. But under the guise of informing the public of the content of this proposal, they are, my concern is that they are speaking a spell. They are speaking a spell that is going to guarantee the outcome that they're dreading, because they don't understand the science of, quote, manifestation. I say quote manifestation. I would like to interview this woman. Her name is Tara Swarth. Tara Swarth, I think. And she is a neurosurgeon. And she is just brilliant, because she said that when she started hearing, the so-called metaphysical community talking about the laws of manifestation, or the laws of attraction, and how it's the primary basis is that, you think good things and those things will come to you, whatever, right? And so she said, well, since they're talking about the brain and the power to think and all of this stuff, like, this is my area. I'm a neurosurgeon, so let me see if there are any peer-reviewed studies that validate or disprove the laws of attraction. So there are 13 so-called laws of attraction, right? It's important for me to give y'all this little lesson. There are 13 proposed laws of attraction. And so she set out, I forget the name of the book that she detailed this process in, but she set out using her education as a 3-time holding, PhD in neurology, to see if science could validate any of these proposed laws of attraction. And that's the super short version. But this neuroscientist, this 3 PhD holding neurosurgeon, says, I was shocked to find, especially considering the fact that this is what I went to school for, that we never learned about any of these, because she said she could only find peer-reviewed studies on 11 of the 13. She was like, well, shit, that's good enough for me. Science proves that 11 of the 13 laws of attraction actually work, and then demonstrate the scientific neurological basis for why these 11 of the 13 work. She's like, I'm gonna start using this shit too, right? So I really like this woman. I really like her work. I really love her interviews. Like, to me, that's who I am. Like, she is Indian. She was born and raised in India to two parents who were both doctors. So she was very heavily trained in the Western sciences and Western ideology and Western, frame of reference. So, and even though her parents were trained the same way, her parents were still old enough that they were still hardcore practitioners of Hinduism. And she was like, I'm not going to be doing that. It's all about the science, whatever, whatever. But then she says she got on this whole wormhole about using the science of her field to either prove or disprove, the validity of these laws of attraction. I'm telling you this because some people, that's the only language they speak is science. You feel me? And that's fine. It's not a critique. But if that's the only language that you speak, and people are constantly telling you, be careful what you say. Be careful what you say, because what you say can become real. Thoughts become things. And a scientific person who, just like Tara Swath, had never found or read any peer-reviewed articles that validate this idea of thoughts becoming things, the regular everyday scientific person will be like, these hippies, these weirdos, these granola eaters, whatever, whatever like disparaging language they want to use when they hear something that they are not familiar with. Right. And instead of saying, that sounds interesting, let me see what science has to say about that, they'll knee jerk have a response like, hippie, weirdo, so-called spiritual person, law of attraction, my ass, manifestation, right? And so that's why I teach the way that I do. That's why I teach the way that I do. It doesn't mean that I don't accept anything unless I can find the peer-reviewed journal article or the research that, quote, proves or validates. That's not what that means. I, being a Virgo sun and a Capricorn moon, highly well with a Gemini rising, I want to know why. I accept it. I still do what I do. You feel me? I still do what I do, but I still want to know why it worked. I still want to know the why always. You feel me? And so for those people who are still very left brain, like these dogmatic socialists, for those people who are staunchly opposed to, quote, woo woo, now you have a scientific explanation for what appears to be purely esoteric or metaphysical language. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is why the bridging of the chasm between spirit and science is so important. There are two different ways to articulate the same thing. That's all. That's all. And we have to accept any confusion between these things is a confusion that was deliberately authored by our adversary. Okay? We have to assume that any confusion between the two was confusion authored by our adversary. Because what your Bible say? The author of all confusion. Wait a minute. The adversary is the author of all confusion. Who is the adversary in this moment? Who is the adversary writing that book? You feel me? The adversary is the author of all confusion. That's why I tell you to simplify. 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 I'm sorry. I know that when you learn a new thing and you learn that you want to learn some new slang. I get it. I understand it. I understand the basis for it. We did the same thing, but I'm telling you, simplify. I'm telling you, simplify. I'm telling you, simplify. This shit is not about how you articulate yourself in the world to make yourself sound smart or better or higher above. If we're serious about changing the world, we have to, and it ain't no superhero shit neither. There ain't gonna be a great one. There ain't gonna be no motherfucking superhero. There is not gonna be a Lone Ranger or none of that shit. We all have to get our minds right. We all have to become the radically best version of ourselves. We have to radically and rapidly do that. We have to seize ownership and possession of the power being handed to us by our cosmic siblings who are rooting for us to take control of the reins of power once and for all. Because this shit is not just, I'm telling you, this shit that we're experiencing is not just impacting the planet. I guarantee that what is happening to us and this malignancy that exists on this planet is not just impacting us. It's not just something that is affecting Earth. I can guarantee that. And so the reason I got into that is because listening to all of these people, especially most concerningly, black skin, uterus possessing human beings, where Ifa says that everybody on earth has the power of Ashe. Everybody on earth has the power of Ashe. But the strongest and most powerful Ashe on earth is that which emanates from the mouths of black uterus possessing women. Why? Because we've been longer than the rest of y'all. We've been on this planet longer than the rest of y'all. We older than the rest of y'all. Yes, even my 50-year-old ass is culturally the oldest motherfucker in the room every single time. Unless there's another black skinned woman in the room who older than me, I'm always the oldest person in the room. And y'all got to get comfortable with that. Okay? So if you, all these black skinned women who are accepting a narrative, I told y'all the other day, it struck me because there was something that we were reading in Symbols and Sacred Objects about writing, the power of writing. I forget what it was we were looking at, but it was specifically about the power of writing. You feel me? There was something about Kali in this power of writing. There was something else somewhere, but it was like, oh, was it in the naming? It was, I think it was in the section called naming. But the long and the short of it was it was talking about the early eunuch priests as they were taking over the goddesses' temples. One of the things that they quickly understood was to, if they were to, quote, possess the name, the true name of the deity, that they could control the power of the deity. Remember that? And that their ability to control the deity was increased by writing the name of the deity. Writing the name of the deity. Let me tell you something. Remember about 2 weeks ago, I was like, I was having this whole ass moment. We were reading the Bible about something. And I was like, oh my God, I remember when it was. We was talking about the book of Revelations. I don't remember what, but I was having this whole download in real time. And I said, oh my God, y'all, I think we need to read the Bible backwards. I said, let's go. Y'all remember that when I said, let's all the way back to Revelations. What is the very last sentence in the book of Revelation, in the last chapter of the book of Revelations? Remember that? And it was like jarring what was in there, right? And I was like, yeah, we need to read the Bible backwards. What if the Bible was written backwards? Because if the Bible, remember we had this crazy ass conversation because I told you about the white boy. What's his name? On Astrology Report. And he did this interview with this dude who he is from a part of a rare type of astrology who do not believe that we're actually in the Aquarian age, but he believes that we have just transitioned into the age of Gemini. I said, oh, fuck. That's so deep. Because what would that mean? If we currently, quote, think we in the age of Aquarius, which in the Bible is the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation is the age of Aquarius in the Bible. But if we supposed to, like, if I'm saying, yo, I had this epiphany, y'all, we need to read the book, read the book backwards. Because what if the book of Revelations is actually the beginning? You feel me? And then so the Bible starts in Genesis, which takes place based on the timeline of the Bible itself, takes place in the age of Taurus. And if the Revelation is the first book in the Bible instead of the last, and we was reading this joint backwards to the Genesis, what is the astrological sign that came in the procession of the zodiac? What is the astrological sign that came before Taurus in the procession, in the great procession of the great year? It is Gemini. It would mean that if Genesis was actually the last book in the Bible, and we go all the way back like we did when we read the last sentence of Revelation, and we read the very first sentence of Genesis, that this would be marking the transition from the age of Gemini into the age of Taurus, because the procession goes backwards. That's deep, right? So anyway, I'm reading this book last night to prepare y'all for this shit. And I thought about it again. I was like, damn, we need to be reading this book backwards. I don't know what I read in this story that made me think like, damn, I really need, we need a team, y'all. We need a team. This is a project. Although the project probably don't have to be as labored as I'm trying to make it. I would still do the laborious work because I just know how our synapses be firing. We actually engaged in some shit. But it's probably a project that if it hasn't already been done, could be done just through some AI shit. AI, could you write the King James version backwards? Is the King James version backwards as if Revelation was the first chapter and Genesis is the last chapter? Could you write that, please? Write it back so we can read it easily. Write it backwards. AI could probably do that shit. Somebody research that. Anyway, so I had been on this, like kind of obsessing about it for like a month, maybe 2 months it was that we talked about that. And baby, guess what I found last night? There is a YouTube channel. Let me find this YouTube channel. There is a YouTube channel called, I got so many notes. Y'all know I wrote all these notes in a night. Hold on. There is where is that YouTube channel at? Oh, here it is. Child. There is a YouTube channel entitled The Bible Was Written Backwards. That's the name of the YouTube channel, y'all. The Bible was written backwards. Y'all, if you got a sweet tooth but don't want to like betray yourself, carrot juice is jamming. Oh, it's so good. Man. Oh, so good. So good. Okay. Yes, well, honey dip chocolate. I'm always saying that. You know what I'm saying? I'm always saying, you know, they took the Sibylline books, flipped them upside down, turned them inside out. Every time they saw she, they deleted the S and left it as he. Didn't I say that? And I said every time I read this book, y'all, I'm gonna substitute every time it say Lord, every time it say God, every time it say he, I'm gonna say she, I'm gonna say goddess, I'm gonna say mother. Didn't I tell y'all from that point on, what was it, last week we was reading in this book? I said, every time we read this shit, because it's probably going to read different when we say she. It's probably going to read different when we say the goddess. It's probably going to read different. You feel me? Anyway, I found a YouTube channel last night. It's about to be a whole ass problem. This YouTube called The Bible Was Written Backwards. It's about to be a problem. Anyway, let's talk about it. So I didn't spend a lot of time. I didn't spend any time. You know what? I'm lying. Did I delete it? Damn. I had it open. Did I have it open? I think I had it open on my phone. I had it open. The Project Esther, which was written, just some little preliminaries, written by the Heritage Foundation, which is a white nationalist organization founded in 1973 by some good old boys. That's the very super dense conversion, because these people are the ones that, you know, they are the ones that wrote the legislation for Project 25. They wrote Project Esther. This and so everybody that was talking about it was talking about, because the subtitle, hold on, let me find it. The subtitle of the document, because it was interesting. The Black people that I heard talking about were just talking about like doing away with a lot of women's rights and this and that and this and that. But the actual title of Project Esther, so sleepy. The title of Project Esther is called okay, so it's Project Esther. The subtitle is A National Strategy to Combat Anti-Semitism, a National Task Force. That's the full name of Project Esther. It is a project being lauded as the development of a task force to target anti-Semitism. But it's interesting because the targets being talked about in this document, who are the historical primary disseminators of anti-Semitism in this country? Mm, mm, mm. Mm, mm, mm. It's so good. Who is it? Somebody tell me who historically has been the loudest voice in opposition to Jews historically in this country. It ain't a trick question. It's like the Klan, neo-Nazis. Yeah, WASP. Yep, it's every white nationalist organization in this country. Those from day one, those have been the most outspoken in their hatred of the Jews. But isn't it interesting? This organization, which is an organization developed by, founded by, supported by white Southern male evangelicals, writes this legislation called the National Strategy to Combat Anti-Semitism. A lot of the people were saying that there wasn't a single Jewish person or organization consulted in the drafting of this document that they trying to pass into legislation. Yes, Styles by Nina, you are correct. The Jewish have been loud, outspoken, anti-Semites. Yup. If you know, depending upon what your definition for anti-Semitism is, but yup, right? So anyway, laid out in this document is defining who would be targeted by this legislation, by this task force as, quotes, anti-Semitic. And everything that they named in the document was so-called leftist, radical, or progressive organizations. Some Jewish organizations like Jews for Peace or whatever. You feel me? And so y'all know I'm all, my favorite phase is that some sleight of hands ass shit. That's some sleight of hands ass shit. Because the whole time I'm watching all of these videos that are supposed to be giving you the 411 rundown on Project Esther, especially, child, the way they talk about how they came up with the legislation from the book of Esther in the Bible. How every Jewish website that I went to trying to figure out, like, what's the gist? Like, what's the takeaway of the story of the book of Esther? What's the takeaway? And everything was so super simplistic. I was like, it's got to be more than that. Somebody lying. Somebody, I was up in here mad last night. Why y'all lying? Why y'all always lying? What that boy say? Why y'all always lying? Why y'all always lying? My God. Stop your lying. Stop lying. Every time you open your mouth, just lies pour out. Just lies pour out. Child, is so habitual to you. I don't even know that you would be able to determine truth from fiction. Child, lying. So everybody, even like what do you call it? NPR and like big name news broadcasters, everybody said the same thing. Oh, the book of Esther is about this woman who is Jewish, and nobody in the Persian Empire knew that she was Jewish, but because she was so beautiful, the king of Persia, like, married her and made her queen, but she had to keep her identity hidden. And then there was this bad guy who was like a super villain, and he wanted to kill her uncle. And so she pleaded on behalf of her people, and she risked her life, because if the king, would have found out that she was Jewish, then he would have had her killed. And so she risked her life to save the Jewish people. And that's all they say. So I went through so many YouTube videos just saying, what's the short version of what the book of Esther is about? The true story of Esther. Short explanation of Esther. Every cross way that you can put that shit up in an actual search and in YouTube. Every single, even the articles written by so-called Hebrews said the same thing. Esther was a heroine of the Jewish people who risked her life to save her people. That's it. That's all. That is all. Two things that are concerning is one, everybody that I have seen so far, and it's been a lot. Like, I have to do a whole ass electronical detox. My brains and my eyes hurt from watching screen so much the last week, right? Every single person that I have watched, even if their short synopsis of Project Esther has been informative, the fact that so far, I'm not saying it hasn't happened, I'm just saying I haven't seen it and I have been actively looking. The fact that I haven't seen a single solitary one of these commentators say side by side, which was my approach. Here, let me show you so you don't think I'm lying. So you ain't just having to take my word for it. Doing a side by side comparison. I know the glare on YouTube be crazy. A side by side comparison. The book of Esther in the Bible, Project Esther. The book of Esther, Project Esther. I want to understand why the goddamn Heritage Foundation chose that book among all the other books in the Bible to name this malicious, malignant, diabolical, any other bad word you can come up with. Diabolical. Diabolical is a good one because the project is diabolical, monstrous, repugnant, a gargantuan offense against humanity. I can keep going. What they a vomitrocious display of malignant power. I can keep going. The legislation is repugnant to the 10th degree squared, child, to the 19th power. Shit, it's horrible, right? So I'm like, well, damn, let's go back to the basics. This is a white nationalist, Southern evangelical organization founded during Reagan, the Nixon administration. Why they chose the book of Esther? The Bible don't talk good about but two bitches in the whole book. In the whole book, how many chapters in this book? In the whole book, putrid. That's a great one. Vile. That's wonderful. Yes, you feel me? Let's see. How many books this joint got up in here? A bunch of books. Hey, a bunch. I ain't even gonna count them, but a bunch. They ain't festered. Yes, there ain't but two books in the whole of the Bible that's got some female. I said vomitrocious. You missed it. It's one of my favorite words. Anyway, there ain't but two books in the whole of the book that's named after females. So listen, y'all. Now listen. Without me reading the book to you yet, because I'm gonna. Without me reading the book to you yet, this should inform you of something about the character of these women. For them to be the only two bitches in the whole book that got some chapters. They got two chapters named after them, Esther and Ruth. It should compel a modern woman to say something suspect with these two women. If they got a book in the most patriarchal document probably on earth next to the hammer of the witches, the the Malleus Maleficarum. These was probably, if the book is diabolical, then it probably means these bitches was diabolical. I'm saying that as a disclaimer, recognizing that the book was inverted and flipped upside down, that it is the greatest. This book is the greatest book of plagiarism in the history of the world. In the history of the whole world, this book is the most gruesome example of plagiarism on earth. in whole of history. Okay, so just take that assessment from the basis that I am speaking it from. That if Esther and Ruth got a book, they have probably been written in a way that upholds white nationalism, patriarchal hatred of the mother, betrayal of human beings. Do. Okay, boom. There you go. Power Kismet say, Alex, ultimate patriarchy, Patty, Patty Pygmies for 200. Yes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. Listen, let me put my glass. Okay, so I'm gonna read some things to you from this book, child. I read the whole chapter. About halfway in, I was like, I felt like my brain was being assaulted. I was like, do I have to read the whole thing to get the gist of why this bill was written after this woman's name? Like, Goddess, do I have to read the whole thing? She's like, yes, bitch, read. It's the shortest goddamn book in the Bible. Read the whole thing. I was like, I don't want to. I felt like I did when I was a kid when it was making me memorize Bible scriptures. I was like, ugh. So anyway, I read this whole book, 10 chapters in the book of Esther. I'm not going to subject you to the whole book unless you want it. It's a relatively short read, but I got a lot of highlighted shit. And I'm going to tell you about line. Line is nuanced. Line for the criminal, line for the bosses, line for the police, line for the state is an art. It is an art that they have mastered so well because everybody's saying Esther was a hero of the Jewish people who saved her people from annihilation. Y'all are lying. Cause what they did, because first of all, you know this book is a book of mythology, right? This shit ain't real. Okay. But reading it as if it were real, as if the people up in it actually existed. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, in this repugnant ass bill, that this book is being used to unleash unadulterated holy hell on your life. For the sake of argument, let's just presume this shit right here is real and everybody they talking about actually existed. Okay. The book is a total half truth. That's what makes it a lie. Because everybody there, Esther was such a good person. Whatever. You feel me? So, short version. We're gonna talk about Esther, who she was, where she came from, who her people knew. These are my bullet point notes, and then I'm gonna read you some things from this book, child, that was so there is an actual reason for this organization, the Heritage Foundation, which is a men's only Southern Baptist Evangelical, founded in 1973 under the Nixon administration, organization, who have made notorious impact on, like, the prevention or the re-implementation of statues that have been pulled down by like indigenous people or black people. They are like straight up white nationalists. You feel me? Huge fundraising apparatus for the Republican Party, the whole thing, right? I said, why they choose the Book of Esther? There's a lot of like gangster ass, like we just want to go and kill some shit ass chapters in the Bible. Like, why they choose Esther? Child, there is a reason. There is a reason that is so currently relevant. When I read it last night, I was shook to my core. I was shook up the fuck in here. I was shook up in here. I was shook. So Esther, her uncle who basically raised her, his name was Mordecai, and Mordecai was the brother of Esther's mom. And apparently, the Bible says she had no parents. And then it later says that Mordecai took her on as his daughter when her parents died. Both her parents died. So, oh, y'all are gonna have to excuse me. I need to do some jumping jacks or something, man. I'm fading. Ugh. Let me bend over and touch my toes. I'm fading. And let me get some water. I gotta wake up. I'm fading. I need some coffee or something. Ooh. What's up, pretty Petunia? What you doing? What you doing? That's that bullshit. What's up, big head baby? Oh, you such a hater. Why are you such a hater? Why being a hater? She was there first. Hater make hater. Man, that's that bullshit. Okay. Hopefully I can persevere, child. My eyes feel like they full of lead. Okay. Mojuba, oh, Mojuba, Risha. I say, Mojuba, Risha. Iba, Risha. Iba, yeah. Even like oh, Mojuba. Even like oh, my Mojuba. Oh, my dad. I will, Java Watson, but I'm on a mission today because I got other shit to do and I don't want to put this off because I got other stuff to study. Once I get something out, it's done and I can move on to the next thing. All right. So Mordecai is her uncle. Her people named die. Mordecai raises her as his own daughter. Okay. Mordecai is Jewish. Esther is Jewish. The king whose name in the Bible is called it's called King Ahasuerus. Basically, he was Xerxes the First. The Bible calls him Ahasuerus, but he was Xerxes the First. Okay, the king of Persia. They in Persia. All right, and the Jews have been living there for some time peacefully in Persia. All right, and one day, as the story goes, let's see. I also, like I always do, when I'm writing my little bullet points, which is very fascinating, I looked up the etymology for every single name that was important to the story. This was revealing. Okay. So, doody-doo, 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 doody-doo. Okay. Okay. So the palace that King Ahasuerus rules is called Shushan the Palace. Shushan the Palace. That's the name of the palace through which he occupies. This is the place from which he ruled. Call him Xerxes because that's who the hell it was. Xerxes the first ruled 127 kingdoms. He ruled 127 kingdoms. Okay. Let's see here. All right. So the opening, so there's a couple of things. The opening scene of the story is Xerxes is entertaining some folks from the provinces, from the kingdoms. You feel me? He entertaining some people, and apparently they parties raged on for a long time. How long they say this nigga was partying? He wanted to show off the riches of his kingdom to to neighboring leaders. He wanted to show off the riches of his kingdom. And so it says, in the third year of his reign, he made a feast unto all the princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of the provinces being before him. And he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many, many days, even in 180 days. 120 days, this nigga was partying. that's what the Bible say. 100. What did they say? No, it was longer than that. 180 days. That's 180 days. That's 108. He had a party that lasted 180 days. He was turned up. You feel me? And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto the great and small, for 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace. So after all they drinking and libating and fornicating was done, because whenever he would host a party, whenever they hosted a party, whenever they hosted a party, the wives of the nobility were not allowed to participate. They could participate in the feasts, but once the men got to drinking, the wives would return to their quarters. You feel me? The wives and the concubines would return to their quarters. Oh, well, the wives would return to their quarters, and then they would bring out the concubines and the dancing ladies and all of this stuff so that the men could libate and fornicate. You feel me? And the women could only come to the feast. You feel me? So anyway, it says he had a feast for everybody in the kingdom for 7 days. Okay. Where were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon the pavement of red and blue and white, listen, and black marble. And they gave them drink in the vessels of gold, and the vessels being diverse one from another, and the royal wine in abundance according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law. None did compel, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Drink till you feel, baby. Drink till you feel. Drink till you feel. Don't matter how drunk I am. Y'all do you. Drink till you feel. Y'all my guests. You feel me? His wife's name was Vashti, Queen Vashti. Also, Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to the king Ahasuerus. And on the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded that Mehuman, Bistha, Harbona, Bigtha, and Agatha, Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king. And he petitioned them to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal, to show the people and the princes her beauty, for she was fair to look on. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. This is a huge part of the story that nobody ever mentioned. And only one person, a Sunday school teacher on YouTube, she mentioned, oh, she mentioned this story about Vashti, which I found interesting. That was only a Christian Sunday school teacher that talked about Vashti. And the name of the little piece that she did was called Be Like Vashti. I said, oh shit. Oh shit. She said, be like Vashti. Vashti. Vashti refused to come before the king. But the queen, Vashti, refused to come at the king's commandment and made him mad. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew the law and judgment. And next unto him was Karshena, Shestar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meresh, Marshana, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? Because she hath not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen hath not done wrong to the king only, but also to all the princes and to all the people that are all in the provinces of the king of the king Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes, when it shall be reported. The king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not. She says, I don't care how mad the nigga is, I'm still not coming. I'm still not coming. This nigga been drinking for 180 days straight. I'm not coming. His ass need about a month to sober up. Then maybe I'll come out. So he commanded in his rage for her to come out. She said, no, I'm not doing it. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. Do you hear what I just said? If this is not, listen, if this story is not the basis behind every man in the world today, especially in the United States of America, every man with a microphone talking about we need a trad wife, we need a traditional woman, and all these quote modern women is messing all the good women up for us, and all, is this not what they talking about? Because the chamberlains came out and was like, yo, you gonna let your queen just tell you no like that in front of all your people now? All your guests and shit all up in here, kings and princes and shit all up in here, and your wife talking about, hell no, I ain't coming out. You gonna let her do you like that? You gonna let her talk to you like that? And then the chamberlains went on to say, like, yo, this ain't no deed she just committed against you, bruh. Like, she done showed all us her ass. Cause see, if word get out, this is what they saying here. If word get out that she got the audacity to tell the king no, all our bitches gonna be telling us no. She ain't just offended you, nigga. Like she causing a problem for everybody. You got to do something. You got to nip this shit in the bud. You got to do something about this. Who she thinks she is telling you no? Now all the women gonna get ideas. Isn't that what they just said? He said, for this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all the women. Oh, listen, they all gonna start talking. Y'all heard what the queen did to the king, y'all? She said, your ass is drunk. You've been drunk and fornicating for 180 days. I'll wait till your ass sober up. You come get at me later. But this deed of the queen, shall come into all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes when it shall be reported. when they find out that they too will be acting crazy toward their men, toward their husbands. Then the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she still came not. Likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. They gon' have an attitude if they know that the queen can tell the king of the whole empire, nigga, nah, I ain't coming out. This about to be a problem. All our bitches about to start acting up. All our bitches about to start acting up. I read this shit last night. It tickled me so bad. It's like, yo, cuz you got to do something about this. This simply, if she would have shamed you in private, all right, cool. But nigga, you got all your people and them up in here. You got to do something. You got to do something about this, bro. Handle your broad, dude. Handle your broad. This sounds like a real life today conversation, y'all. Get your girl, man. Get your girl, because she acting real out of line right now. You know, this ain't a good look for the rest of us. This about to cause some problems, bro. Get your bride. Anyway, I'm laughing, but when I read this, and every single solitary adaptation, shortened version, explanation of this story that never once mentioned the king's wife, never mentioned once why the king needed a wife, that he would have to wed Esther in the first place. This is not a small part of the story. It is a big part of the story. The story ain't but 3-4 pages long in this big ass book, right? Anyway, so we're gonna put a bookmark in that because it's important. As a matter of fact, we gonna put a bookmark in this because it is important. It's not small. It is important, and it is purposeful that this part of the discussion has been deliberately. Even the 3 different Jewish websites I went to, because there's a holiday that celebrated because of this story. There is an international holiday celebrated by Jews everywhere on earth, specifically in honor of Esther in this story. There's a fast, there's a feast, there's a carnival, there's a parade everywhere on because of this story. Okay, so this little section here about the queen stage in the contest is big. It's not small, especially when we start talking about the content of this bullshit ass project legislation that they trying to pass all underhanded like. All right. Anyway, if it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes that it is not altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. You hear? Oh, you can't come out when I tell you to? Not only am I about to get myself another wife, but everything that you own will go to her. You'll leave here. You won't have shit. You'll be reduced to concubine, bitch. Yo, your ass will be reduced to concubine. Oh fuck. This didn't even occur to me last night. God damn. You heard? All right. He said, I'm gonna find somebody better than you, because you with that bullshit. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small. You heard? So those same men up in his ear talking about, bruh, she didn't just offend you. She offended every man up in here, because she made a public spectacle of this thing right here. She said,
hell no, I ain't coming, and she had the nerve to do it twice, this gonna cause our bitches to get ideas. So she ain't just offended you. She done planted the seed of a problem for everybody up in your empire. This a problem because everybody in the empire, all these women gonna start talking. Everybody in the empire gonna know what you done did, or what you took, what she did, what you took. Now it's about to be a problem for all the husbands. What did they say? Both great and small. And so they was like, look, and he was like, well, damn, what I should do? I'm not lying because it's happened several times. It's like Xerxes was completely incompetent. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound currently relative? He had all the power in the world and was dumb as a box of rocks. Does that sound currently relevant? Relevant? Does that sound like something that you could superimpose on today's society? Listen. So he sat here quiet while all the men raising hell that he done imbibed for all this time, for 180 days. He done fed and liquored everybody in all the nobles. And now they was like, this won't do, bro. You gotta handle this. And he was like, what I'm supposed to do? And they was like, look, we got a recommendation. You need to make a decree. You need to make a royal decree that will travel to and fro. Mind you, Xerxes' empire at the time was 127 kingdoms. 127 kingdoms. He had conquered the known world at the time. And they was like, look, you got to make a royal decree, nigga. You feel me? You got to make a royal decree. And it can't just be, what did it say? Please the king, let there go out a royal commandment from him. And let it be written, because what did we just say? To write the thing gives more power over the thing. Do you understand? Because this whole idea of writing comes a lot, just like in the intro, that wasn't even related, but now it's related, right? Let him write a decree among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it not be altered ever. The decree that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. And when the king's decree which he shall make and when the king's decree which she shall make shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great, all the wives shall give to their husbands honor. But the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small. Y'all, one of the things that I've been hearing a lot since I started watching these little BS and videos about this Project Esther was how, oh my God, it sounds like the first season of The Handmaid's Tale, when the women couldn't have access to their checking accounts no more, that the only way that they could get money was all of their assets were turned over to their husbands, and they could no longer buy, sell, or trade without permission from their husbands. In the blink of an eye, women lost all their rights, and all of a sudden, their husbands became their owners. Ain't this what they say? And the saying pleased the king. The king was like, yeah, that sounds like a good ass idea. I like that. Yeah, write that down. Write that down. I like that. And the king and the saying pleased the king and the princes. And the king did according to the word of Memucan. He sent the letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people thereafter. And to every people after their own language, that every man should bear. Every man should bear rule. Every man should bear rule in his own house, and that it should be published according to the language of every people within the empire. Do that not sound currently familiar? Y'all think this goddamn legislation was written in ambiguity? The shit say it's about anti-Semitism, and so everybody like, oh my God, it's because Esther was willing to sacrifice herself to save her people. Even that story, that aspect of the story where she quote self like, you know, risks her own life to quote save her people. The story is fucked. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. But everything I'm reading that I'm telling you to make a mental note of, flip the language. It's in this document that y'all calling Project Esther. I was like, why? If everybody's saying that she was just a heroine that just saved the Jewish people, why is the project named Project Esther? That sounds like something pretty simplistic. That's not what they took. That's not the part of Esther's story they took, boo. It's not. Well, it could be actually, because her story, her coup d'etat moment is gruesome. Her coup d'etat moment. I read that shit 3 times last night to make sure I wasn't reading it wrong. It's so bad, y'all. It's so bad. And the king said, and the saying pleased the king, and do, for he sent letters to every people, do. Chapter 2. After these things, when the wrath of the king Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair. Listen. Let there be fair young virgins sought out for the king. Let there be fair young virgins sought out for the king. You feel me? And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of the kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Haggai, the king chamberlain's keeper of the women. Haggai is the keeper of the women. And this sounds just like the little bullshitting ass Handmaid's Tale. Man. Handmaid's Tale. Man. Okay. So Haggai is the keeper of women, child, and let their things for purification be given them, and let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti, and the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now in Shushan, the palace there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai, the son of Jabir, the son of Shemael. And let's see, the son of Kish, a Benjamin, who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, in which had been born. Of which had been carried away with blah 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 blah. Oh my gosh. I might just have to finish up with the cliff notes and give y'all details later. I'm struggling. And it's only 2 hours in. I'm struggling. Okay, let's see. Cliff notes. All right, because I'm not going to read this whole thing right now, but I'll just go over the highlighted section because there was a lot. Let's see. Okay, so Esther's original name was Hadassah, which is a Hebrew name that means myrtle, or the myrtle plant. Right? The myrtle or the myrtle plant. Okay. Let's see. All right, so it tells the story of her going as one of the little fresh young maidens that the king was going to have the opportunity to choose from. The way the story goes down is that the girls were there for almost a year, rotating out to go entertain the king or whatever was on his whatever whim he was on. And it says that eventually it says the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in this in his sight more than all the virgins. That more than all the virgins. Let's see. More than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her. Let's see. I'm struggling. I'm gonna have to do this later. I'm struggling. I'm sorry. I'm struggling. Damn, I really want to tell y'all this shit though. Let me give y'all the super condensed cliff notes, and then we'll go back over the details, because the details I'm telling you that are in this thing. Super short version, super condensed version, not to leave y'all hanging in suspense. But as a matter of fact, let me just read the last page of this chapter, because it is fucked up. Okay, so okay, the bad guy of the story, his name is Hammond. Sound familiar? Hammond. Does that sound familiar? Let me tell you how it's spelled. Hammond is spelled like Hamas, but without an S, an M instead. Hammond. Hammond is in the story as the villain. He has been appointed to the king's court as his vizier. So, something happened, and Xerxes tells the dude, "You've done such a good job. Tell me what you want," or something like that. And I forget what he said he wanted. Oh, wait. He tell me what you want. He did something good. Tell me what you want. Before that happened, Mordecai came to the gates of the city, came to the gates of the empire, and wanted to speak with the emperor at the time. Okay, or whatever. And then, what happened, man? Oh, hold on. Shit, I'm like struggling. Okay, I remember. So Hammond is the bad guy. Okay, supposedly Hammond is the bad guy, and he becoming the chief vizier for the emperor. Him becoming the chief vizier for the emperor. He says he makes a decree on the emperor's behalf. So let me just say, might have to write this down in bullet points. But one of the things that stands out about this emperor, Xerxes I, is that every single solitary decree that he makes in this chapter of Esther, every single one, he doesn't make one on his own. Every single decree that he makes is the decree of someone under his stead, right? And so Hammond, as his chief advisor, makes a decree on the king's behalf, because once he became the king's advisor, it's like in the Game of Thrones, right? When you have the hand, what was it called? The hand of the seat, the hand of the throne. Is that what it was called? Whatever it was. Basically, this your right hand man, and so you get a little pen that's like the right hand, right? It was like this, right? So he's the advisor, and because it's such a high station, he receives the king's ring. This ring is the ring used to press a seal on anything that leaves the empire, notes, letters, whatever. and it also gives him power on the king's behalf to execute on the king's behalf. And so once he receives this station in the ring, child, the first decree that he makes, he is the vizier. That's what he was called, the vizier. He makes his first decree, which is that everyone in the kingdom, upon seeing him, must bow to him. This is the vizier. This is not the king. He said, everybody that see me, when you see me coming, fall on your face, bow to me, right? And so Mordecai, being a Jew, in their quote law is that they can bow before no man. They can only bow before God. Whenever he would see the vizier, Haman, he wouldn't bow. And Haman was incensed, child. Haman had an attitude. He was like, who this lowly motherfucker at the gate think he is that he don't bow to me when I have made it a decree in the 127 kingdoms? Who he think he is? And so he was so mad about his quote insolence, Mordecai's insolence, that child, he went to the king. He's like, look, I got an attitude, king. Something happened before that, but I got an attitude. This Jewish dude at the gate think he better than me, and so he refused to bow, and so I want him dead. Like literally just like that. I want his ass dead. You feel me? And the king was like, whatever you want to do, man. You the visor, you got the ring. Like, do what you do. Go on out there and do what you do. And so drafting a letter, using the king's seal, using the king's label on the seal, sends this thing out to the four winds, to the different empires, that I got an attitude, and if you have this problem or whatever, you feel me, you gonna treat them this way. And so Haman begins to build a gallows for Mordecai, because the king has already said I can do what I want. And so he begins to build a gallows to execute Mordecai. Mordecai had been sitting at the gates for some time, and he overheard a plot to overthrow the king. And so he got a message to his niece, who was in this prison, and was like, yo, two dudes are plotting the murder of Xerxes. You need to put Xerxes up on game. And so she went to Xerxes and she was like, look, my dad told me this and that and such, whoop-de-whoop, look for the signs, yada, yada, yada. And then, this becomes a debt that Xerxes has vowed to pay to the Jew who saved his life, because the plot was unveiled. There was a plot to kill Xerxes by two of the people in his inner court. Mordecai overheard them speaking, warned the emperor, and was awaiting his prize. So that's another big point of the story, because it becomes a bargaining chip that Mordecai can use. All right. So Mordecai is telling his niece, don't let up. Don't let nobody know that you are Jewish. Okay. Something happens. I remember, Haman's got an attitude. He not only wants to hang Mordecai, but he is so angry about Mordecai's bow to another man that he was like, oh, y'all can't bow to another man? Fine, watch this. And then he sent out multiple letters with the decree on behalf of the king. We gotta wait on IG. My YouTube is acting janky. There we go. All right. So anyway, he declares war on the Jews. He does. He is so incensed. He is so outraged. The shop took him so long. Whatever. He had an attitude, and he was like, every single Jewish person in all of the kingdom is gonna get God. They all gotta go. They gonna get God. Okay. And so Mordecai, hearing this, and fearful of this, calls on all the Jews to get dressed in sackcloth and ashes and wail around and appeal to God to make sure that this quote genocide against the Jewish people does not unfold. Okay. Now, meanwhile, Esther has been made wife. She's been made the queen, but she still only has a very set amount of privileges. Okay. So her uncle has been coming to her window on different times of the day, night, whatever, to give her word about what's happening over there where they at. He's like, look, your husband under Hammond done not only declared war on quote Jews enemies, which is everybody. Not only did they declare war on the Jews, but that they required the state to execute this vision. And so something happens, a little turn of affairs. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. A little turn of affairs in the way the water has been mishandled since the advent of coronavirus, which is deep. It's sickening out here. It's deep. And what did he say? He wants to kill all of them. And so he will get the backing of the state to do that. Mordecai comes to Esther's window and is like, look, you got to save your people. She's like, yo, I ain't told nobody. I ain't told the king. Do you think these women up in here seeing me bathe think I'm a man? Anyway, fuck, what was I just saying? I lost my train of thought. So he's threatening to kill all the Jews. So Mordecai and Esther are talking. He comes and visit her sometimes outside her window just to check in. They're talking. He said, look, this dude is buck wilding. He want to kill all the Jews in all 127 kingdoms. He must be stopped. So she comes up with this idea to plan a dinner party for the king and Haman. Okay. Meanwhile, Mordecai has convinced the whole Jewish community to pray and fast and pray in sackcloth and ashes. That we need to power up because we're surrounded on all sides by people who want to kill us. Okay. So Okay, so they spend many months fasting and praying, petitioning God to save them from the wrath of the Persian Empire. Let's see. I gave to him a commandment to Mordecai to know. Okay. Let's see. Mordecai, Mordecai commanded to. No. Let's see. Okay, then. Man, King Mordecai. Okay, so in a turn of events, I'm still trying to move through this step. In a turn, well, why are you scratching me, big old head hill? Turn of events. Okay, Mordecai finds out that Haman wants to lynch him and kill all the Jews. Okay, he charges Esther with the plan to go before the king and and remind the king of the deed that Mordecai had done. The deed that Mordecai had done was to prevent the uprising against the king, right? He was in a store or something, and he overheard these two Arab, these two Arab men. I'm all over the place. Oh, okay. So Esther's supposed to remind the king, remember that dude sitting out by the gate, Mordecai? Remember he saved your life because there was two men conspiring to kill you? He was like, oh, I forgot about him. That was a big deal. What did we ever give him? Did we ever give him a prize or a gift or something for saving my life from these two men? And she was like, nah, you ain't gave him no gift, right? She said, but I have an idea. Make him of important station or whatever. And then also punish the man who lied on him because he went through trial, he went through a little jail, whatever. Punish the man who lied to him. Come to find out, Hammond is the man that lied, obviously, about Mordecai because he wants to get Mordecai hung. So what the king did at the wife's behest was say, look, Mordecai is going to be my chief advisor from now on. The man who was my advisor is going to oh man, Mordecai saved the king from the conspirators, the two conspirators, right? And he said, I'm gonna make you my advisor because you saved my life and I never paid you back. Meanwhile, Haman is going to a dinner party that he thinks is going to be just like a nice dinner party of the king and Esther. Okay, he comes to the party, he comes to the little dinner party, and Esther proceeds to tell the king, this is the man who tried to have my uncle killed because he signed the decree that would give him the ability to hang Mordecai. But not only did he do that, he made sure that all of my people would meet their end. Okay. So the king was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna overturn it, and then I'm gonna put him on the scene. I'm gonna put him on the run. That's one thing. But then this last area, write ye also for the Jews as it like a do. Okay. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version because I'm gonna go take a nap. I am fading. But let me tell you what had happened. Okay. So the story that everybody had been saying about Esther and who she was and what the book was about, and they were like, oh my God, she's just such a great heroine because she saved the Jewish people from annihilation. Listen to this. Yes, okay, she saved the Hebrews from annihilation. But listen to this. Listen to this. So this is after, and also when the king found out that Hammond was responsible for this decree that was going to massacre all the Jews, including his beloved wife Esther, he overturned the decree and then hung Hammond from the gallows that he had built for Mordecai. That's not the only thing that he did, that she did. It says, he gives a little, let's see. Let's see. Esther. Okay, so Esther is before the king. She says, let's see. The king held out the golden scepter towards Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king. So that's just talking about her education a little bit. Like rose up before the king and said, if it please the king, if I am have found favor in his sight, and the thing, let's see, and let's see, and said, if it please the king, and if I find favor in his sight, and the thing seen right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be reversible. Okay. And it just said, if the king, and if I found favor in his great sight in the palace right before his eyes, pleasing to the eyes, to write the reverse. Let's see. Damn. Ugh. Let's see. Let it be written. Okay, I got it. Sorry about that. The king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Jews, which are all still in the king's provinces. How can I endure to see the evil that shall come unto my people? This is Esther. How can I see the evil that shall come upon my people? Or how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Okay, my kindred. The king, Sahara, said unto Esther, the queen, and to Mordecai, until Mordecai, the Jew, behold, I have given Esther the house of Ammon, and him they have hanged upon the gallows because he laid his hand upon the Jews. Write ye also for the Jews as it liketh you in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's anyway, write it ye also for the Jews as it liketh you in the God's name. And let's see, in the king's ring, for the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. Then were the king's scribes, do, blah, 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 woo, woo, woo. Oh, here. Okay. Let's see. Seal, let's see. Write ye also for the Jews as you liketh in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring, for the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. Then the king scribed, do. Man, ugh. I'm gonna have to do this later. I can't. I'm struggling. I am struggling. Damn, it is so interesting though. Ooh, because I still haven't given y'all the coup d'etat about what this trick did. Ooh, what she did. But I'm struggling. I have got to go take a power nap. What time is it? Okay, so I'm gonna take probably about an hour nap. Get that 4 o'clock waking up in the morning and humping ever since then has caught up with me. I have moved furniture and everything. It has caught up with me. So I'll finish up my jewelry order, make my run to the post office, take a little nap. I'll come back up on here. I'm thinking how's 10? I know some of y'all don't like it when I do it that late, but how's 10 p.m. p.m. How's 10? I think I'm gonna come back at around 10. Yeah. All right. I'm sorry about that. I was all hyped when I got up on here, and then it just the sleepy monster just descended upon me. Yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna come back at 10. I'll see y'all then. But I got goods for y'all. I can't believe I couldn't make it through it. I was trying so hard. I was struggling. But this girl is going to explain why this project is so diabolical. And what they actually have planned is not a campaign about anti-Semitism, y'all. That's not the plan. That's not the plan. That's not the bulk of the plan. It's the cover. It's the scapegoat. This shit is the scapegoat. Okay? So anyway, I'll see y'all later. Oh my gosh, I'm so sleepy. I'll talk to y'all then. Okay? All right. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you guys at 10 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Peace.